สวัสดีค่ะ EP นี้นะคะเราก็อยู่กับอาจารย์อมรนะคะที่ทำ psychology and sociology นะคะ so first Amon what is the difference between psychology and sociology
So sociology has more to do with your environment, the population that you live in, the society that you live in. That is sociology. So there are lots of sociological theories. We are studying a couple of sociological theories in MCAT, and basically, if you know these theories, you are applying it to absolutely like daily life situations. Whereas psychology focuses a lot on there are multiple disciplines to psychology, such as humanistic psychology, biological psychology, behavioral psychology, so cognitive psychology, so a lot of disciplines of psychology. Psychology is divided into different disciplines, and nowadays we study psychology as a multidisciplinary. So for one particular concept, you should be able to apply all of these different disciplines to that particular concept and understand that, if we are looking at this in terms of a behavioral perspective, what is your interpretation? If you're looking at it in terms of a cognitive psychologist, what is the interpretation?
what's the biggest barrier ที่เด็กๆเขาเจอเวลาเขาเรียน psycho
I think the biggest problem for someone that has never been exposed to any psychology or sociology in their life would probably be the vocabulary. They would find it a little bit intimidating when they're exposed to suddenly so many new concepts and words. So they might find that a little bit more challenging than someone that might have had a little bit exposure to psychology, or even simply the fact that your English is really good. If your English is really good, that really helps, because a lot of psychology vocab you can kind of deduce what it means if you're not even sure that I don't remember this concept, but the word kind of gives you a hint already if your English is really good. So that is a big help.
คือ so if ถ้าภาษาอังกฤษอยู่ดี like if you have some reading skill you have like been exposed to certain academic English คือ you สามารถทำ psychology ได้ถึงระดับหนึ่งเลย
I think it helps a lot. It helps a lot, yeah.
And what about like the most important skill? I mean, apart from reading skill, which definitely has to be there, like is there any other important skill for psychology, sociology paper?
So two things. First is interpreting graph. So this would be with any science. If you are, you can't read a graph, it's going to be a big problem. Second thing is the questions. You really need to be able to pick out what are distractors in a question and what is the main focus, what is the key in the question. If you're able to pick the key out of all the distractions, you're good. You'll be able to answer the question much easier.
Okay. All right. So the first barrier is English. Second, of course, reading graphs. แล้วก็ distractors in the question. ถ้าสมมุติหาได้ก็ psychology ก็จะง่ายขึ้นเลย So in psychology and sociology เนี่ย what's the most difficult topic?
I think a lot of people confuse attributing styles and attributing theory. So
แป๊บหนึ่ง what is attributing styles and what is attributing theory?
Attributing, just like English word, attribute, you are deducing a cause to a behavior. That's it. So if you didn't know the word attributing in English, then you would have to learn it. You'd be exposed to it in psychology, which is completely new then. But if you knew English already, you know what attribute means and what attributing something means. That helps already. So a lot of people seems to confuse this a lot when it's in a question. So there are a couple of concepts related to attributing style. Actually, only two main concepts. If they just knew that two main concepts, everything else would be clear. It's a whole chapter that is based on two large ideas. That's it.
Okay, so if you can grasp this concept, then the biggest barrier, the biggest skill problem in psychology คือหายไปเลยคือแบบ you will do even more better, right? Okay, so can you tell us like what is the best way to maybe memorize psychological disciplines or remember or even doing papers?
So of course, a lot of theories, like I always tell my students that there's so many theories in psychology, and some of my students are like, for example, theories of intelligence. There's so many theories of intelligence. So some students relate it to themselves. They feel like, oh, you say that for this theory, we need to have all 7 types of intelligence. But I don't seem to have this type of intelligence. Why does it not relate to me? Am I like am I not considered intelligent or so it's not that. It's just that it's good that you're relating it to yourself. If you can do that with sociology, with psychology, that would be amazing. You would really be able to remember these theories and concepts a lot easier. But you also have to remember there are lots of theories. The reason why lots of theories exist is because none of them are perfect. So one theory proposes this, and then another theory comes and disputes that and says that, no, that's an incomplete idea. My theory can complete that idea. And then another theory comes in and says that, no, there is something lacking in your theory as well. My theory can fill that gap. So that's why there are multiple theories. Just because something does not apply to you does not mean that you're not intelligent or something is wrong with the theory. That's why there are other theories. So you have to see what fits you, what works for you.
So basically you have to memorize.
Yes, but the thing is, if you, like, even in psychology, we have so many encoding techniques, which is basically memorization techniques. You can utilize any of those. Mnemonics, if there are some concepts that are difficult, use mnemonic device to memorize them. You can chunk them into categories. You can use the things that I'm teaching you in psychology in helping you memorize the psychological concepts that are being taught to you. But nothing works better than relating it back to your own life. If you can apply the theories into your daily life, try to find a connection, helps a lot in memorization.
Because even Ajahn Jane, who teaches like bio and biochemistry, she also says that we have to link the chapters together. So similar to psychology, เราก็ต้อง link มันกลับมาหาตัวเราเอง because it will help you remember, help you understand, and help you apply the concept better. So another question is, like, in the MCAT paper, which one has a higher weight, psychology or sociology? คือ psychology กับ sociology จะเป็นคนละอย่างกันนะคะ So in the MCAT papers that you have seen, where's the higher weight? Like, is there more psychological questions, more sociological questions, or passages with both of these questions combined together?
So it's actually quite rare that you see both combined together. For one passage, they might ask you one sociology question, but you don't see that very often, honestly. So if it's a passage that is very sociology heavy, sociological theory heavy, you will tend to see it all together. But in terms of how much each weighs, sociology is only like 20% and psychology is the rest. So try to, when you're studying, I think, try to get sociology out of the way first. It's also easier than psychology. There's a lot more new concepts and theories to psychology. So if you want to be able to do 20% of the paper already, get sociology out of the way. There's less content to it and also very few theories that you have to memorize. So get sociology out of the way first and then start psychology.
So one last question, Amon, so what is the best way to prepare for psychology? I mean, after watching our videos, after doing the live sessions, like when they actually go and do their own self-studying, what is the best way to prepare for psychology and sociology?
Okay, so I think because psychology, they divide things into really good, like the divisions are so good that you don't really need to do it sequentially. If you feel like today I want to do biological psychology or neuropsychology, you can pick up neuropsychology first, get it all done, and then you can go on to another topic that has no relation to neuropsychology at all. But you can definitely apply it as well. It might relate in some sense, but you don't need it. You don't need to work sequentially, that I need to get neuropsychology out of the way first, and then I do attributing styles, and then I do this. You don't need to do it sequentially. You can do one first and then do like a chapter 10 later after that, then do a chapter 2, then do chapter 5. So you can do it that way. If you feel like, oh, this chapter seems intimidating for me, a lot of theories, a lot of new ideas, I want to keep it for later, you can perfectly do that.
So for when you prepare for psychology, just pick whatever topic you want to do today and finish that off, and then ค่อยไปเลือกตอบว่าจะทำอะไร เพราะมันไม่ได้เหมือน biochem หรือ chemistry physics ที่มันต้องแบบ sequential ใช่ไหม but this is like อันไหนก็ได้ so this is a good thing, like you don't have to like be controlled by something else. You can control your own preparation style. Okay, thank you so much นะคะอมร okay บ๊ายบายสวัสดีค่ะ สำหรับน้องๆคนไหนที่กำลังเอาใหม่ สำหรับน้องคนไหนที่กำลังจะสอบ MCAT แล้วก็มีแพลนที่สอบ MCAT นะคะอย่าลืมกด like subscribe แล้วก็กดกระดิ่งนะคะ so you will get all the updates on our content สวัสดีค่ะ